All right, so the postseason is officially over for the Yankees, which means the season's over for the Yankees. And unfortunately, it didn't turn out the way we wanted it to. They got eliminated by the Astros, swept by the Astros, who are going to face the Philadelphia Phillies in the World Series this year. So please, Phillies, do us all a favor and kick the living shit out of the Astros for us, right? Go Phillies. So with that, let's talk about who stays, who goes, because now starting to put on the GM hat, right? And I've been doing this for weeks now, kind of plotting this part. This is one of the more fun times of year for me because as soon as the World Series is over, exclusive free agency starts, and then free agency starts. Things will probably get nuts during the winter meetings. That's in December, but things will pick up leading into that as well. So I don't want you to miss this stuff. So if you're not subscribed, please do that because I'm going to be busy for you guys and gals all off season, and it's going to be fun. So, and before I talk about, who goes and who stays, I want to give a special shout out to Jarvis Henley and Ron Armelino, 2 new members of the 161 River Ave family to join with memberships. I appreciate all yous. I'm looking forward to having you on video with me for live streams and what that freaking blue jay, and bonus content, early content, and all different other perks as well. So welcome, gang. Looking forward to having some fun. Now, let's get into this stuff. Who stays, who goes, and let's talk about the elephant in the room first. Okay, the hierarchy. The fire Boone, the fire Cashman, okay? Let's keep in mind, this is Hal Steinbrenner's team now. And to a degree, Randy Levine, okay? Neither one of them is George Steinbrenner. They never will be. That's just a fact, okay? Steinbrenner was obsessed with winning, got himself into trouble, but we never had any doubt in our mind that he was willing to spend whatever it took to win. And to me, having an economics background, it's nothing more profitable than not only investing in your product, but investing in your product and winning a championship in New York. It's nothing more profitable in sports than that. But again, I don't work for the Yankees. I don't run the Yankees. These guys have a different mindset. And it's pretty clear, too, that Brian Cashman does what Hal wants. Okay, and it looks like priority number 1 is keeping this machine running and wildly profitable. And that's exactly what he does, right? Keeps them winning enough games and selling enough merch and putting enough butts in the seats and selling enough memberships to keep them wildly profitable. And they are wildly profitable. Okay? Is Hal going to get rid of that? Very doubtful. Even if this is Cashman's walk year, I'm sure, and we've already heard that they've come to some kind of verbal or handshake agreement to come back. So, and much to the frustration of a lot of fans, I totally get that. Okay, but keep in mind, as long as Cashman does what Hal wants and they keep lining the pockets, it's going to be really difficult to get rid of the guy. As much as people want Derek Jeter or even Theo Epstein, Theo Epstein's an MLB exec. I'm going to shoot that bird, I swear. He's an MLB executive. And do we think he's going to, to basically change it to come over here without part ownership of the team? I doubt it. Okay? And again, he would be the guy to get if you can get him. But now, moving over to Jeter, do we really think that Jeter's going to come over here and replace Cashman, who's universally hated by fans, and do the same things that Cashman does? He would tarnish his legacy. Jeter, and I don't think he's going to want to do that either. So, as much as it can be a fascinating thing to think about, doubtful. Now, let's move down to the next level. Manager. Boone does exactly what Cashman Analytics want them to do, right? And speaking of analytics, I mean, if they've decided that the best method here is everybody go for the home run, even not power hitters, at the expense of a lot of production and contact hitting, then your analytics department, Yankees, suck. They suck, okay? No matter what flashy terms, BABIP and launch angle and blah, 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 no matter what terms they use, it doesn't matter. No matter what terms other channels use, doesn't matter. They suck. They get beat by teams that play small ball all the time, play medium ball all the time, and big ball all the time, okay? We're sitting around waiting for home runs and bringing in guys that fit that mode. It's not working for the Yankees. Some structural changes need to be made. But again, that's not Boone's thing, okay? He's managing the team and he's doing what they want him to do. Even though he can sound like a dick sometimes, right, with some terrible answers in after-game interviews and moves as well, like taking Cole out the other day in the 6th inning, when he got himself into a jam. But I would have stayed with Cole because he would have done better than the bullpen did, personally. And that's our ace. That's the guy you pay a lot of money for. You keep his ass on the mound, okay? Period. So I don't think he's going to go anywhere either. He's got 2 more years left on his 3-year deal anyway. But this is one reason why Girardi's not here too, as much as people want Girardi to be here. You know, he came in strong with the Yankees. He also inherited the core four, 2 Hall of Famers, and the biggest free agent class in a long time. And they won a World Series, thankfully, in 2009. He was partly due to that, or responsible to that, so I give him credit. But he also wore out his welcome. He drove players to the point where they hated him, and that's one reason why they got rid of him. They bye-bye to Girardi. They hated when him basically publicly criticizing and calling out players, and which Boone does not do. And he also did not obsess about analytics, which Boone does do. So, for those reasons, he's out. And I understand people wanting some people saying Beltran. Keep in mind, Beltran was considered one of the masterminds of the cheating scandal for the Houston Astros in 2017. So, to bring that here, I find it highly suspect that they're going to bring out Beltran here as a manager. So, that would be very questionable in my opinion. And Joe Madden, come on, he's not. People say Boone lost the dug. He lost his dugout and he lost his team in Anaheim. This is not losing it in New York. He lost them in Anaheim, so I don't think he's a fit either. So, but as far as I'm concerned, Boone is staying and Cashman staying until some structural changes. And if you want structural change, hit him in the pockets. There needs to be a mass exodus of season ticket holders and memberships and online streaming services. Hit him in the pockets where it hurts the most. Punch him in the dick. Take the money away. That's how he's going to wake up and have to make a change. But I think that's the only way that's going to happen. Okay? Now, with that, let's get to the real stuff, okay? Let's get to the real stuff. Who stays? Number 1, Gleyber Torres, okay? Unless something happens and they can either trade him for Pablo Lopez over in Marlins. Again, we'll probably revisit that before that fell through before the deadline, 5 minutes before the deadline. Or my preferred option would be to try to move him to the Detroit Tigers to try to get Gregory Soto, their reliever. Okay, their left-handed dominant closer. We need some relievers now. Frost is going to miss the year as well. So we have some other guys. I don't want to throw King back to the Wolves. So right away, at least, got to ease these dudes back in. So he would be a great option for me in a trade. So other than that, I see him staying. And his defenses did improve a little bit. His hitting has improved, but he drove a lot of folks, including myself, crazy when he tried to turn into Barry Bonds the last month of the season or last month and a half and become a home run hitter. And it didn't work. It didn't work. Okay? So analytics, stop doing that stuff. Okay? Next up is Isaiah Kiner-Falefa. Yeah, I think he stays, and I think he's probably going to replace someone who's probably going to go on the third base side. Okay? He's also an arbitration player. So unless the Yankees do something crazy like bring up or sign Carlos Correa or something like that, I see him staying and moving over to third base. And then plugging it on Oswald Peraza, which they said they wanted to do for years, and now they have the opportunity to do it at shortstop, and that would increase the defense and improve it. And he was a former Gold Glover at third base. So, and again, keep in mind, people love to bash the guy, okay? Yeah, he had a lot of errors, but he also had one of the highest amounts of defensive runs saved in baseball, so they kind of even each other, or they equal each other out or cross each other out. So, and even though the errors always look ugly, like they did with Derek Jeter, they were always amplified, especially in New York. Oh my God, he made an error. People were blaming him for the poor toss from Gleyber Torres last night. That was Torres' error, not IKF's. Okay? That was clear from any angle. He also has one of the highest, he's second best in the Yankees in terms of hitting a runners in scoring position. And again, he also has the second best contact rate in all of baseball. And again, putting the ball in play, contact hitting doesn't mean necessarily just getting a hit. It doesn't always show up on the on-base percentage of the OPS. You move guys over, you do this, you put a sacrifice fly, you let a guy score from third. Like, these things matter too, and he does that a lot. He's second ranked in all of baseball in contact rate, which is crazy. I didn't even think that was the truth, but it is. Okay, so I see him coming back, and again, he's cheap for one more year. I see him staying for at least 2023, and then whatever the Yankees do after that is what they do. So, and Anthony Rizzo, I think he's going to stay unless he opts out and goes to somewhere else, maybe the Cubs or whatever. I see him staying and maybe getting a rework deal or another couple years added to the deal. And if he does go, I could see them pursuing somebody like Jose Abreu or just moving DJ over to first, depending on what their appetite for spending is. But Rizzo's definitely, I think one way or another he's going to come back. He was great for the Yankees in the postseason, a great teammate, great leader, and one of the better just overall hitters on this team. Now, who goes? Aaron Hicks. I think this is an obvious one. I think at this point, And I'll put it this way, too. When he signed his 7-year, $70 million contract a couple years ago, it looked like a bargain. $10 million based on his production. And it looked like $10 million. He looked like a bargain. Now it looks like an albatross. So, and he's, he was basically, 1 for 2022? 2 for 2022? He was just awful all around. And wore out his welcome. And I think at this point, they're going to try to move him this offseason. I do think they get to move him. They're going to have to eat anywhere probably between 50 and 80% of the contract, and even throw in a prospect too. But again, shedding a roster spot, clearing that dead weight, and bringing in somebody else, just take the hit and keep it moving. Saving some is better than saving none. Much as people want to DFA him, I think they're going to try and trade him because he does have a tiny bit of value. Somebody will take him as long as the Yankees eat enough of the contract. Kyle Higashioka's next. I like him, but when they made that trade with Minnesota, they also brought in Ben Rortvedt, and I've been saying this for the whole entire year. At some point when he's healthy, he's essentially the left-handed catching version of Jose Trevino, an elite pitch framer and an expert game caller. Okay, and that's something to not be ignored. I thank Kyle Higashioka for his contributions. He's been a credible backup, a solid teammate, and a good, pretty decent player with some pop in his bat. But I think the Yankees are going to go with a little bit more youth here. He's 25, I think, and Higashioka's 31. And he also has 5 years of control left. And Higashioka only has, I think, 1 more year before he's a free agent. So this makes sense right now. Higashioka will pick up somewhere else, but he's another one I think won't be back. Next, the other obvious fit, I think, is Josh Donaldson. I think the same scenario here. Elite defender, but suspect with the bat. Another one of these going for the home runs and striking out way too much. As one of the expenses of that, or consequences of that. I think the same thing. They're going to have to eat some money, maybe attach a prospect to move him. He's got 1 year left. I think some team will pick him up, but they're going to have to eat and give a prospect to, one way or another, period. But moving those two guys off the roster would give the Yankees more flexibility, particularly in the infield and the outfield. Jamison Tyon's next. I think he's gotten to the point where he's earned himself a pretty hefty extension. 14-5 this year. With a sub-4 ERA, he was a solid teammate. He was good when they needed him to be. And again, reliable. He threw almost 180 innings and was available pretty much any time they needed him. And that's worthy of an extension. In 2022, he'll get an extension, a pretty decent one too. So probably 4 to 5 years, upwards of 18 to 20 million per, or right around there. And I think it'll be too rich for the Yankees, but I think the Yankees are probably going to want to use that money and go after somebody like Carlos Rodon. Well, that's what I would do at least. But I think Tyon moves on. Marwin Gonzalez. Okay. Again, he was the jack of all trades for the Yankees, but now they have a younger version as well. The Cabrera, who's got 5 years or 6 years of team control before he hits free agency, and he's got a little bit better bat. And I think with a little bit more playing time, he'll have to make some adjustments. He was exposed a little bit with his offense with being a rookie, but especially in the playoffs. So he'll have to make some adjustments, obviously. But I think, he's done enough. He did what the Yankees needed him to do. I think he helped groom some of the infielders and outfielders too. But there's other guys in here who can take his place for a lot less money. So thank you, Marwin Gonzalez. Now, 2 relievers. Zach Britton. I don't think he'll be back. He's just unfortunately have enough time to get healthy. When he was healthy, and he was pretty good with the Yankees, but he's just way too much injuries. And at this point, coming back from Tommy John and other surgeries, I think he'll be ready for spring training 2023 with another team. And sorry to see you go, but thanks for your contributions. Aroldis Chapman is next. He abandoned his teammates. Doesn't deserve 30 seconds on this video. Goodbye. Which leads me to my last player, but not least, Aaron Judge. Yes, I think he walks. Okay, and I do think the Yankees will get up to the $40 million a year threshold for 7 years. I think they're going to keep the same years, which will still be almost $70 million more than they offered before. But based on what Aaron Judge did in the postseason, he was dreadful. I think they're going to use that against him. Cashman, particularly. This is another reason why Hal keeps Cashman, because he does these types of hard negotiations and tries to lower the price whenever he can. He has his talking points ready. So I think they're going to go up to 7 years and $280, but it's not going to be enough. And I think he's going to move on to greener pastures or just other pastures. So that's my list of who stays and who goes. Let me know what you think. I have a lot more coming, so you know what to do if you don't want to miss them. And again, go Phillies, beat the Astros. And as soon as that World Series is over, free agency begins the very next day. Exclusive period, 5 days, and then free agency, open market, baby. Let's go.